And a good Tuesday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you with an extended McFiles tonight. We're right at 9:42. We're getting started a little late tonight. We got a very special guest, pre-recorded interview coming up here in just a second with the one and only Michael Jaffe, our dear friend from Israel, and he's got some very keen insight to what's going on over there. I hadn't talked to him in a long time, and it was so good to talk to my friend. And he's going to be bringing that to you in just a second. We are, with that interview, it's pre-recorded, and we'll take your questions afterward. We've got a ton of video that we'd like to do. Maybe we'll do it Thursday night. We'll get to some of this tonight afterwards. We're going to take your thoughts, but we do want to give an update tonight. What we do know about this terrible, terrible hurricane that has just absolutely devastated the island of Jamaica. Here is the latest imagery from that, and I'm going to come over here to our website. We've got an update from AccuWeather. That is a monster, 185-mile-an-hour winds. I think it was Joe Hafel sent me this, and I want to read this tonight, how strong this hurricane was. This was from somebody that does the weather. It says, Melissa is bombing out in the Caribbean this morning. Hurricane hunters found flight level winds of 180 miles an hour. They went up to 185 before they hit land. The pressure is down to 913 millibars, which in a hurricane, that's devastating. That's low. I mean, the lower the pressure, you don't want that number to be low in a hurricane. Melissa is approaching the mathematical limit. She approached this limit of how strong a hurricane can get on planet Earth. If Melissa continues strengthening, it will rival Wilma, Gilbert, Allen, and Milton as one of the strongest storms ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. Either way, she will be the strongest hurricane by a mile to ever hit Jamaica. Jamaica has had hurricanes before, but they've never experienced anything like what's coming. This was yesterday. Catastrophic damage is imminent, and Melissa is passing. I'm going to come over here to our screen here. This is our dear buddy. This is a former National Hurricane man, and I can't think of his name, but he was on the Weather Channel for a few years. But I want you to listen in. We're going to just listen into about a minute or two of coverage, then we're going to get to Michael Jaffe.
Look at
that hurricane.
Still a reasonable size as it moves north. But obviously it's moving north to getting near the north coast with the circulation coming around like this. So that's going to put water to the left side of the eye from the Caribbean down against the coast here. That includes Montego Bay. Montego Bay opens north, and that means that water is going to get trapped in there, and that means there is a threat of storm surge flooding along that coast as well. And the storm surge flooding continues here on the south coast, all the way on the south coast, including to Kingston. Now, the winds aren't as strong in Kingston, but still, they're persistently tropical storm force winds from the south, or near tropical storm force, especially in gusts from the south. So that's pushing water into Kingston Harbor and just kind of keeping it there. All right, here's the very close-up loop, and I made this during the landfall period. Let's see if I did the right thing here. Let me see if I go back here to 1 p.m. Well, it's kind of caught under the cone because the cone shifted because of the new update. But anyway, there you can see the eye.
That eye wall is, he's about to point out how big this eye wall is. Keep rolling.
So trace it here.
Look at that.
Here and here. And that's why New Hope was the center of the eye when it came ashore at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Jamaica time.
And that is an update from the National Hurricane Center. We'll follow this tonight, but if you look down here, if you saw the screen here, 150-mile-an-hour winds, 160 winds are still blowing across Jamaica tonight. In some places, gusts were reaching as high as 225 miles an hour. That storm surge, folks, 13 feet. I'm only 6 feet. That means that wall of water was two of me. That's probably the size of this house almost that Kathy and I live in. And that wall of water was coming in at a rate, if you think about these winds, there is probably no words to describe the devastation that island is under tonight. We need to pray for the people of Jamaica. There were some Alabamians that were trapped there. There's been some other people from the United States that have gotten word out that they were trapped in Jamaica down there on vacation. And our prayers for all the Americans that are there, the Jamaicans that are there, our whole. We've got a friend, a new listener actually. He was from Bermuda, and he was in the house in the chat here a few days ago, and didn't see him today. I'm sure he's hunkering down. We've got ministry friends in Bermuda. So if you got family down there, folks, you need to be praying, checking on them tonight, and our prayers for them. And this was earlier today, a update from the National Hurricane Center. This was what was going on earlier today. Now, we will keep you abreast of that. We've not heard of any word yet of deaths or casualties or injuries. I'm sure it's hard to fathom that there are not going to be deaths in this storm. It's hard to fathom there are not going to be people injured. Certainly already the devastation that is coming in. You can see the scene right there in Kingston at the Capitol there. Trees, power lines, homes. Most of those homes down there in the Caribbean islands are not built that well. And even a minor hurricane, a Hurricane 1, Hurricane Category 2 storm would create devastation beyond words with the way these homes are built down there in that region of the world. I can only imagine what a Category 5, 160-mile-an-hour hurricane, 180. Folks, we've not seen these kind of winds in probably 20 years. The last time we saw something like this in any kind of close proximity was Hurricane Milton last year that came up the Florida coast, but even Milton didn't reach this level. Milton came in as a 4, I believe. This was a Category 5. It's rare that hurricanes hit the land in that kind of intensity, but this one did. What I'm thankful for tonight, if there's any silver lining in this, which I don't find too much, but at least this was not the American coastline. Can you imagine what damage would have been experienced had this hurricane hit the South Florida coast in Miami, or went out in the Gulf, come up the Gulf? If this thing would have had any more strength or any more time to strengthen, God knows how big this thing would have gotten. But our prayers tonight for these folks in Jamaica and that eye wall. We've got pictures I haven't been able to download yet. I'm going to see if they've come in on the update. I'm trying to get this download that I had so I can show you the eye wall, that some of the pictures that were taken of that eye wall were just absolutely mind-blowing. And we'll maybe have those downloaded by the time we get finished with Michael Jaffe's interview. But I will tell you something. We've never seen anything quite like this. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen a hurricane of this strength. This is actually part of that eye wall. This was seen today earlier when they went into the eye of the hurricane hunters. And I've got a better picture than this, but you can see the massive swirl in the atmosphere. That was from probably 30,000 feet up. And that is absolutely unreal what you're seeing there. This is a broader picture of where Melissa hit in the Atlantic. Thank God she's going to veer off. She's not going to come anywhere close to the States. She will be basically out in the Atlantic Ocean after tonight around 2 a.m. in the morning. She's crossing over Jamaica, Cuba now, and the path of her fury is going to go a little bit, again, way out into the Atlantic. Thank God that this path here takes it this direction. And here, of course, here's the United States. So no threat to land, but Bermuda, the Bahamas, and these areas right through here are still going to be in great danger tonight. Them winds are not going to go down that much. It's still going to be a 2 or a 3 coming out into these islands. So our prayers for all you down here in this region of the world tonight. And hopefully this will get on out of here by the weekend. It'll be in the North Atlantic. But very, very troubling situation tonight. And our prayers for all those that are in the path of this monster. And we will keep you updated as we get more news in about any casualties or devastation. So much news to talk about tonight, but I wanted to play this interview with Michael Jaffe. You're going to enjoy this, and I encourage you to please listen while we're listening to Mike. respect our guests. We'll take your questions after the interview. If you've got a question that just can't wait, mcfilesforum at gmail.com. That's where you send it. But I want you to listen to what Mike has to say. I will tell you this, the tone of this interview will not be as conciliatory toward what's going on as Ruth's was. And Ruth had a more of a calmer perspective about things. And we've got Mike. Mike has been in Israel a long time, and what I took away from this interview, I agree with how he feels about a lot of things about this, and we're on the same page. Not that I'm not on the same page with Ruth Goodenheim. I am. I get both sides. I know that Israel's doing its best to cope with this, but the breaking news tonight is that Hamas has broken the ceasefire. They started firing on Israeli soldiers, and Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered massive strikes in the Gaza Strip again tonight, and we all knew, most of us did, that this ceasefire was very fragile at best, and we're being proven right, as we're being proven right about a lot of things. And this was before all this happened tonight. Michael and I did this interview about a week ago Friday, and I hope you enjoy this tonight. I'll be back to talk to you afterwards a little bit and share a few videos. I got more than a few, but I'm only going to have time for a few tonight. But I do want you to chime in, and we're going to put a poll question up in the chat room tonight. By the way, 57% of you last night believed that Zoran, I can remember that because Zoran rhymes with moron. Somebody made that analogy, so that helps me pronounce his first name. But Zoran Mendami, 57% of our audience last night believes that he's going to win. We'll see. We'll talk about that afterwards. Here's Michael Jaffe tonight. You can enjoy him. He's my dear buddy, and I appreciate him. Here he is. Enjoy this interview tonight. God bless. And good evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you with a very, very special McFiles pre-recorded interview. Our dear buddy, Michael Jaffe. He's been a great guest, a great friend to our show. We've known him a few years now, and I remember the very first interview we did with him. I was just absolutely honored and blown away by his insight, and we're grateful to have him again tonight. And Mike, it's been a while since we've talked, but there's been so much that's happened even in this last few weeks, and we want to get your take on some of it. I know that it's been a bittersweet week. I think I had somebody in our show Monday night, I think summed it up beautifully. We in America, we were crying with all of Israel. I was to see these hostages come home. But there was this part of me, and I could relate to the statement because I couldn't help but think that while I'm elated that these hostages are finally home, there's 1,200 victims that are not coming home. And sadly, many of the hostages didn't make it home. I read a report yesterday that was heartbreaking that the butchers of Hamas, they basically killed every female hostage they had. There was no females in that group that survived, sadly. And I know that I want to talk first about the humanitarian side of this. I'll get to the political weeds in a minute, but I do want to ask you how you felt and what the attitude in Israel has been, because it's been a glory. Look, I am so excited for the families and these people. I know there's a long road of healing ahead, but it's a good day for the world. I hope people get that. This was not just for Israel. It wasn't just for America. It was a good day for the world that people had been in captivity are now home with their families, and we're rejoicing about that, at least that part.
I thought it was a wobbly step in the right direction. And I'd like to explain what I mean by that. I feel very similar to the way I felt 15 years ago when another prisoner exchange happened. And that was the case, the prisoner swap for Gilad Shalit. Gilad Shalit was an Israeli soldier. I guess he was about 19 or 19 at the time, who was abducted, also on the border with Gaza. And he was held and he was exchanged, I think it was a year later after his abduction, he was exchanged for 1,000 security prisoners. Among them was one Yahya Sinwar, who later became
the head of Hamas.
The head of Hamas, the military, paramilitary head of Hamas. I knew at the time that for the safety of this one soldier, because of the way the deal was structured, we were essentially going to be paying for that one soldier with, at the time, I thought it was hundreds of lives. So we were exchanging one generation, one representative from one generation for hundreds of representatives of a not so distant future generation. That is the feeling I have right now. And that's why I'm saying it was a wobbly step in the right direction. Because what remains to be done is dealing with the threat that caused this in the first place. Hamas is not yet done. Hamas is not yet finished. Hamas is now, as you can read in the news, killing its opposition and killing anybody who challenges its hegemony in Gaza. And they're not doing it. They're not doing it discreetly. They're not doing it. They're not doing it nicely. They are just killing people in the streets. And the fact that the world doesn't react to this is a very, very bad sign.
Yes. Well, the bad sign is, Mike, that, I saw something here, not to interrupt you. I'll let you keep going. But if the Jews are not involved, it's no news. Like, if it's not Jews, it's no news. If this was, again, Israel doing this to the terrorists and Israel doing something in Gaza, then all of a sudden it's an international incident. But because there's an actual genocide going on now, an actual genocide of ethnic cleansing by the Hamas to the Gazan people, who, look, I'm just going to be frank with you. I've got a little bit of sympathy for the Gazans, but not a lot, because they put these people over them in power, and they assisted Hamas in doing the barbarity and the barbarianism and the butchery and the debauchery that we witnessed. I've never seen barbarism on that level in my entire life. Look, I'm a history person. I've read the stories of the Holocaust, but I didn't witness that up close. I witnessed this, and I have seen the stories and the videos, and it's made me sick to my stomach. In my lifetime, man, I've never seen such. But I don't let the Gazan people off the hook, because many of them were involved in this. They were assisting in this, and now they're. And I'm not trying to lessen their deaths, but you look, you play with the devil, buddy. You're going to bring the devil home with you, and you're going to get what you get.
Just to also supporting that perspective, Gaza has a population of 2.5, roughly, maybe a little more million people. Let's say it's got at least 1 million adults in a place that's around, I don't know, maybe 20 square miles or something like that. It's not a big landmass. And it's a whole lot of people. Not one Gazan tried to let the Israelis or anybody else know where the hostages were kept.
That's right.
Think about that. Not one came forward. So I hear what you're saying. I understand it. It's being civilized means you don't hold people account to what they personally didn't do. But it's important to also know the context of what that environment is, what they're teaching their children.
Come on.
And I no argument with you there.
I want to ask you on this line. I know that there are some people here that have questioned how Hamas did this, and I'm just when these things happen, and I don't care what nation it is, but especially Israel, because it seems like that the world holds Israel to an account it does not hold other nations to. There's no other nation, Mike, that had this happen to them that they would not have responded in a similar and maybe even a worse manner than what Israel did. Israel, you do not get to dictate the terms of the response when you do something like this to another nation. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't care who you are, what group you are, what sect you are, what terrorist group you are. When you do this mess, you don't get to dictate the terms of how they respond. And people, and I've heard people say, well, how did they get across the fence in Gaza? And people need to realize this was an orchestrated effort and very well financed. And I'm going to ask a weird question of you.
Okay.
I was not a big fan of, I was after the emotional part of Monday, and I watched the group that was gathered there in Egypt with President Trump to sign the ceasefire.
Yeah.
I do not believe that any of those players, other than President Trump, had Israel's best interest in mind. And I think that
No, they
Qatar was
didn't.
behind this. And I'll go to my grave believing that Qatar and Iran were the money behind that event in October the 7th. And I do not,
Not only the
I'm not
money,
saying it.
not only the money, they were also part of the inspiration, the ideological inspiration. Qatar is very much a Wahhabist type of Muslim state. I almost said extremist Muslim, almost, but I don't say extremist Muslim because there are Quranic roots that these people, these jihadists, use to justify what they do. Now, and there is the feeling among many people that Islam has not undergone its reformation. You can argue that both Christianity and Judaism, they went through a stage of having to, let's say, even keeping the essentials of their religion. They've had their process of basically developing tolerance and Western values. And Western values are also tolerant values, but they cannot be tolerant of intolerance.
So true.
So basically, yeah. So anyway, regarding the participants there in Egypt at Sharm, you're absolutely right. They weren't there for Israel's sake, except for President Trump. And what they are there for largely is saving their own skins, because they've helped to develop a monster in terms of this supremacist Arabism. They helped to develop a monster, and now it's looking towards them. The Kuwait, Qatar, certainly Kuwait had its near-death experience, and Jordan is constantly. It has to constantly evaluate whether it's in its survivalist interests to remain in the American sphere of influence, or whether it has to succumb to Iran.
Do you?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to ask you about Iran, Ron. They have been really quiet since the bombing of the summer. Do you believe that the bombing that we did, our country, the United States did, precipitated the Arab nations seeing the light that Donald Trump was serious about bringing an end to this conflict, but more importantly, that if the Arab world didn't play ball, to your point, that they were there to save their skins, because they
For sure.
saw that this was not Joe Biden in office. This was not Joe and Barack over in America anymore.
No.
Donald John Trump, and he would bomb you in 3 seconds if you don't come to this and fix this. Because I think it's almost like you're talking about this Hamas group is on their leash, Mike. They're the ones that released this monster on Israel, and now they're playing the great savior of the world. It's sickening to me. But I think that the bombing in Iran in the summer, I would get your opinion on that. I think it got their attention that they're dealing with.
I think you're right, and I think the bombing in Kuwait not so long ago.
That's right. That's right.
It didn't. From what I understand, it did not achieve its objectives of decapitating the Hamas people staying at the Four Seasons. But it did get the attention of those who want to run things in Qatar. That their stability, their safety, depends largely on coming to some agreement or coming to some understanding with the United States, or keeping that understanding. Qatar has a huge military base, and huge American military base. And they want to keep it that way. That military base basically keeps them from having to develop their own military. and it keeps their existential threats at bay. So in a sense, I mean, I was kind of a little surprised at President Trump's reaction after the Israeli attack, because I don't think it should have been a surprise at all
I'll agree.
that Israel tried to take out Hamas's leadership. Hamas has gotten to the point where, yes, they're up against the wall, but they are not willing to go quietly in the night, as Dylan Thomas would put it. They will disarm kicking and screaming.
I think that Trump told him.
Hopefully bleeding.
Yeah, Trump told him 2 days ago. You can do this the easy way or the hard way. The South Georgia version of this. You can do this the hard way or the easy way. You can disarm, or I'm going to come disarm for you. And Trump's way of disarming you is that there's going to be a hole in Gaza the size of Trump Tower. I mean, I'm just saying. And I'm telling you, I feel in my heart that that's what this is going to come to. I think that they are pushing him to his limits. And, we're still not fully, I don't think the hostage situation is still settled, because there's still roughly 20 bodies that they have. And you cannot tell me that these bastards, excuse my language, Lord, but these butchers do not know where the location is of these bodies that they have murdered and slaughtered. Because this is the way I know that. Whenever some of these dead bodies, I think of the Babas family and the way that they brought the lady's body out and celebrated that day before they sent her body back to Israel, and how
and her children's bodies,
and they celebrated and they made it a mystery. And then they're all of a sudden playing dumb. Well, we've got to find these people and to send them back. That's horse crap. They know where these bodies at, because I guarantee you, Mike, they were planning on probably doing the same thing every time they could to shove it in Israel's face, to shove it in the world's face. We have done this. This is our work. I think these people are proud of this. This is what I guess grieves me. My voice sounds a little terse this morning, because I see a group of people, and it goes back to what I was saying about Monday. I was glad for these hostages that came home. I was crying along with all the world. I was weeping at some of these stories, weeping at the visions of the reunions, the father and the sons, the daughters, the mothers, and the husbands and the wives. But then that part of me, it changed to anger. And I'm like, 1,200 people are dead. And these people have paid very little other than a complete, annihilation. Israel has had to go in there and level Gaza and do what they've had to do. But Israel's gotten blamed for this, not them. The world's not blaming Hamas for this. And they're almost like about it. They got away with it.
I hate to add to your consternation, but beyond all that, 1,000 security prisoners have just walked free.
That's true.
That means God knows how many potential Yahya Sinwars have just been let out and unshackled and set to walk free. That means that we haven't learned our lesson yet. Now, the nice thing is, and I think of it as nice, somebody would call that, what I'm about to tell you, as being bloodthirsty and perverse. But Israel is finally beginning to consider the death penalty for terrorists, so that they won't be used as bargaining chips in the future. Because what happens is, Israel captures people who have done things. They have committed crimes. These weren't random, arbitrary pickups of innocent people on the streets. These are people who have either attacked soldiers or killed people from either their own clans or from rival clans. These are people who have tried to kill civilians. Israeli military have been caught in the act of planning or preparing for terror attacks. And these are the people who were released in return for bodies. Has Israel learned its lesson?
I hope we have.
That's my big question. I'm not so sure.
I'm with you. You can't keep this perpetual hatred, this perpetual look, and I no more believe, and this is, again, I guess it's only a wait and see right now. I would be shocked if Hamas puts those weapons down and comes to the table in good faith now that the pressure's sort of off, now that Trump's gone, and it's like everything, Mike, we have this moment of joy. We're celebrating, we've got a peace deal on the table. We've got a ceasefire. There's peace, and they're not going to dare do anything right now because the world is, their focus is on this.
They've been active for a long
Look,
time.
man, if I remember correctly, even the morning that Trump was leaving here to fly over to Israel Sunday, that I was seeing videos coming off of some of these Jewish news wires of rockets being shot into southern Israel from Gaza still, even at that late
Yeah.
and I just don't believe this is going to go as wonderfully, and I pray it does. Look, I'm not hoping for the bad. I'm not hoping it don't go good, but I'm a realist, and I know who we're dealing with here. I know, and you do too. You know more than I do because you lived there, buddy. You know it. And these people are not players. They're not.
I recognize political hubris when I see it, and these politicos, including, I would say, to some degree, Netanyahu, whom I voted for, but I've seen them patting themselves on the back when these images come across. And yes, there is something to celebrate. There is also, and I don't think for a minute we can forget this. As I said, there is also cause for consternation, serious consternation. And thank God that President Trump is the president of the United States at this point, because it would have been a lot harder had he not been, for Israel to get anything close to this. And I don't even know if it's possible.
That's true.
But at the very least, we're getting some breathing space and something to stand up to the really, really hateful opposition around the world to Israel defending itself. And I will also say this: the claims of genocide. I don't have to explain this to you, because I know you know this. Israel has not done anything. Oops, my camera just went nuts.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay, I think did I just get mag? Oh, there we go. Israel has done nothing for punitive reasons.
That's right.
Israel has not dropped a single bomb in order to punish anybody. Israel has basically gone in, sacrificed thousands or hundreds of soldiers of her best of the young generation, and some middle-aged people as well, because middle-aged people are still doing reserve duty. Israel has lost her best human beings fighting this war to avoid civilian casualties. Not a single bomb has been dropped, not a single bullet has been fired for punitive reasons.
I'll agree.
They've done it because Hamas has laid a massive infrastructure, has placed munitions, rockets in homes, in mosques, in schools, in hospitals. And basically in order to rack up the body count.
I'll agree.
So I think this can't be stressed enough. We have not done this. There's not a single person in Gaza, I believe, who has died as punishment.
Totally agree. Totally agree, 1,000,000%. And I think, and I have to tell you, I know you don't have to explain that to me, but I will tell you this, Mike. It must be stated to this audience and the people that this show's going to, and I'll tell you why. Because the sentiment over here, this absolutely raging anti-Semitic explosion that has happened, and it's really, I was telling some dear friends yesterday that it's just like, I don't know what it was in the summer. It was something that happened when the schools let out, and it was like that rage that was on these college campuses. The college campuses died down, and now it's gotten in the social media realm. It's gotten into these big influencers, and it's now just exploding all over America and the world. But I think it needs to be stated what you said. I think that needs to be said loud that this was not punitive, because that's what the world believes. That's what the media has convinced the world that Israel did, that this was an intentional invasion of Gaza. It was not. And they just ignored the 7th, brother. Look, most people with common sense understand that. But there's a lot of this world that don't have common sense, buddy. They hate Israel with a passion, and they will look at any reason they can to hate Israel. They will blame Israel. If the sun comes up this morning in a weird position, it's Israel's fault. That's just the
Yeah.
United States. There's a spirit on us that's like that. And I asked a dear friend from Israel yesterday, you know, and she made a great point. And going back to Bibi and the Knesset, she said, Chris, she said, there was a lot of humor, and she said that meeting Monday was not a normal Knesset meeting. They said because usually it's very tense, it's very rigid. I mean, it's just a lot of, you can feel the tension. And she said when Trump stood up and went off script and had everybody laughing and she said we as a nation needed that. She said we have been so tense. It was like that Knesset represented us. We have been so
Yeah.
tense, rigid, and we needed to take, like you said, you mentioned the statement, we can breathe. She said, she almost said the same thing. She said, we just needed to breathe a little bit. And
Yeah.
am I right on that? Is that accurate?
I believe so. Yeah. I think so. And also, I mean, the gratitude that Israel, and I'm talking about the people, uh, I would say even the really, except for perhaps the most extreme leftist communists in Israel, and we do have some of those. But I would say, other than maybe the handful of people, Israelis are grateful to and love Donald Trump. I don't think there's a figure who has more positive associations for Israelis as a whole. And I'm including people like Golda Meir. I'm including people like David Ben Gurion. Really, the founders, the people who with their own sweat and blood, and often with their lives, uh, made this place possible, saved as many people as they have. I believe President Trump is the most popular figure for Israelis, alive or dead.
True. That's a good point. That's a good point. Does Bibi gain popular? What has been the sentiment since Monday with his popularity? And and I hate to use that word popularity because I look at politics as a world that
Yeah.
they love you on Monday and they're ready to hang you by Friday. So when I say popularity, I don't mean the fickle kind, but I mean the sentiment in general of the nation. Has that went up with him, or has it stayed the same? What does people feel about Bibi in all this?
I don't know because I'm not involved in polling here, and I don't really know the most recent polls. Let's say that I wouldn't be surprised if the anti-Netanyahu protests were to resume on Saturday night. And I say this as a supporter, but basically someone who is pro Bibi and who appreciates what Bibi has done. I will also say it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to be grooming a successor as someone who's served as prime minister, I think, longer than anybody else
Yes.
in Israel's short history. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to step down. I don't think that I've I've seen the process of his being accused and blamed for certain legal or procedural infractions. I don't think he's really afraid of spending a day in jail. I don't think he's going to spend a day in jail. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that could happen now. But I don't think it would be a bad idea. As someone who appreciates his policies, it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to start grooming his successor.
It's a great point. No, I think that's well said. I'm going to ask you a question, and we'll go another 10 minutes or so here. Thank you for being with me this morning. I do want to ask you this, and I asked my dear friend this yesterday. I was thinking about our country in relation to Israel in the sense that had Joe Biden been in office, and he was actually in office the first year when this happened, like when October 20 of 23 happened, he was the president.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that if Bibi would have been allowed to do what he needed to do without the shackles of America screaming at him, y'all could have been done with this war in 6 months. I mean, Hamas was. I think Israel could have just, if Israel was to just be able to do what they got to do without the world screaming and deal with this terrorist threat, this could have been handled quickly. But maybe quickly. But this is my point. Let me do that in reverse. What would have happened? Because I hear the same thing over here. I hear a lot of sentiment about, I hear statements like, well, we love Israel, but we hate Bibi Netanyahu. We think Bibi's evil. We think we love the Jewish people, but we hate Bibi Netanyahu. And I ask the question to these people all the time. I said, well, what kind of leader that would make you love, what would make you love Israel as a nation and the government, and not necessarily love, but respect the government? What kind of leader would you want other than Bibi Netanyahu? And see, this goes to the question is that I personally believe Bibi needs a lot of credit, deserves a lot of credit along with President Trump for this victory, Mike. He's been
I do too.
He's a Winston Churchill in the face of this stuff. He's lived it. He's been fighting wars on 8 fronts. Who in the you-know-what can say that? No leader in this country or this world's fighting wars on 8 fronts right now. But this is the thing. Had this happened with a left-leaning leader in Israel, like say an Ehud Omar or a Ehud Barak or Topinzi, who's out there trashing Bibi and all these things and all these left-wing quarterbacks that are, they would have bowed the knee. They would have bowed the knee to these terrorists. Where would we be this morning? You think about that. Where would we be now as compared to where we are? Because it's not just America's government, it's Israel's. Because if you can get a left-wing leader, and that's what I was asking her yesterday, do you think this stabilizes the fear that people have seen his leadership? They may disagree with the way he's executed the war. Look, war is just a terrible thing. Mistakes are made. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. It's just life. Get over it. Grow up. Nobody wanted this. Israel didn't want this. They had to do what they had to do. That's how I look at it. And I'm okay. I'm giving them grace. Things happen. Hell, things happen in our wars. We've made mistakes in this country. But I tell you this, if you get a left-wing leader in Israel and this happens again, brother, we would not be sitting here right now. If you'd have had an Ehud Omar or an Ehud Barak in power, where would we be? And I think this goes to my next question is, where does Israel go from here? Do they go right or left? Or do you have any insight to that or any feeling about that?
Well, you've laid a lot of ideas there. First of all, I believe that Israel was fortunate that Netanyahu was prime minister at this point. No doubt about it. The fact that he was able to has such a good relationship with President Trump and has had it for years was good. Now, you see, when I put on my academics hat and I say, okay, what if it was someone on the left? Let's say someone like a Yair Lapid, who's center left,
right,
and who is the main opposition leader right now. The thing to remember is that almost everybody here does army service. And if there was a left-wing guy who really was just bending over backwards for Hamas, I think very quickly we would have gone to elections. I don't think he would have lasted long. Having said that, running a war is always difficult, it's bloody, it's painful. It always brings down condemnation against Israel. No matter what the circumstances, no matter how the war is prosecuted, it brings down condemnation on Israel. You put it so well just a moment ago that how Israel could, I won't say it again, but yeah, that people love to blame Israel. I will only add that it's really impossible to say, because much of what happens in Israel has to do with the activity of its people. Israelis are very politically active, especially the Israelis who are on the center right. When they feel something has to get done, it gets done.
True.
So let's just say God was with us,
I'll agree.
and
I agree.
and that and that we were lucky in many many ways. Now, God always also accords us free will, accords us the ability to make decisions, and the question is, will we make better decisions now? And I believe better decisions are not to keep feeding the crocodile with the hopes it'll eat you last.
That's so true. And that adds me to my last question to you this morning. Where does this place the Palestinian Authority? Where does this place the West Bank and negotiations over that? Does this stop the Palestinian state cry? Does it increase it? Or does Israel see the light and say, because I think last time we talked about this very thing, and we talked about the fact that the appetite for Palestinian state has changed, and I've watched it change over 20 years because
Yeah.
I've watched there's so many voices that were coming from the world and even Israel saying, well, we need to give the Palestinians something. We've got to give them, we got to coexist. We got to coexist. And I've watched that flavor go out of their mouth because Mike, these attacks, every time Israel tries to, and when you get down to it, Gaza was a Palestinian state. When you get down to it, the West Bank is a Palestinian state. And what have they done? They've done nothing but launch missiles and rape, murder, behead people, and launch October 7th type terrorist attacks against Israel. And eventually a nation gets tired of that. I guarantee you this over here, America wouldn't have put up with this. No nation would have put up with this. Nobody.
No.
It had Mexico. Mexico would be, they wouldn't be eating enchiladas in Mexico. They'd be eating American hot dogs the rest of their natural born existence because we wouldn't have put up with it, man. And I'm just
Mhm.
does this leave, where does this leave the West Bank? And I'm a Southerner. We run our mouth a lot, so pardon me for that. but
That's okay.
does it leave the West Bank situation up in the air, or do you think that this sort of closes the discussion on a Palestinian state?
For the time being, I think Palestinian state issue is a dead issue right now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to change. Now, also the Palestinian Authority. At this point, I don't see it having much gravitas in the world. So I don't see. I was kind of hoping that the Knesset would propose a bill to annex Judea and Samaria. I was hoping for that. And with that would have come condemnation, and would also maybe have come some kind of localized parlay with the people who run the Arab population in Judea and Samaria. And that's not necessarily the Palestinian Authority. We're talking about clan leaders,
Right.
because in these villages that have been around for a while that are fairly large, they are run by clans. And the clans sometimes work with the Palestinian Authority, but they're still very clannish. And they have their own internecine struggles, and they have their own ways of governing. And they're not democratic, but they are what the people have come to know over millennia. So what's the future? I was very gratified to see that one of the clan leaders had proposed that he does not want to remain under the sovereignty of the PLO, which is basically the Palestinian Authority. He wants to deal directly with Israel. He wants to, this clan leader wants his people to basically live in a Jewish state while dictating their own lives, while being the captains of their own destiny. I see this as a model. I see this as a possibility without necessarily giving full citizenship, but at least with being able to live peacefully. These clan leaders don't want armies. They don't necessarily want diplomats. They just want to live a nice life with their people the way they've come to know. And they know that what they also know is that the Israelis are a lot easier to deal with than the billionaires leading the Palestinian Authority.
That's so true.
Who became billionaires with the money, with the aid that was intended for the people.
Scale of 1 to 10, do we do we wind up with a second incursion into Gaza this year? Do you think Hamas is going to do what they're going to do? 1 to 10 being most likely they put their arms down, 1 being the least likely.
Putting their arms down, I'd put at a 2.5 out of 10. I think it's roughly a quarter. There's a 25% chance that Hamas is going to basically do what's good for the people in the way we think of it. The way they think of it, they think that they're doing wonderful things for the people because they're letting their people become shahidim or martyrs.
Harder. Yeah.
And their people have been indoctrinated to believe that they will get their biggest reward in Jannah, which is Arabic for heaven. That they don't live for this life, and many of them will openly state it. We don't live for this life. We live for the next, and the way we get to the next is by pleasing Allah, which means killing Jews and Christians.
Yes.
So do I believe that? So I'd say there's a 25% chance that Hamas either leaves or gets ejected by some rival organization. Now, the rival organizations do exist. Northern Gaza right now is being run by first of all, it has the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, but it also is helped by the Northern Gaza clans. Now, if they get organized, they could effectively put Hamas out of business. Now, there's a problem with that, and that's because that Hamas is just a local branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood is big, and it's wealthy, and it's influential. Now, right now in the United States is actually dealing with a bill. I don't know. I don't remember which. Maybe it was Representative Randy Fine who was the sponsor of the bill to make the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. But I would say that would be a great step in the right direction. That would be a leap in the right direction in terms of preventing the Islamist threat to the United States.
Right. Well, I think that the next few weeks and months are going to be very telling. And I want you to know this, my friend. You are such a blessing to our show, and I'm so grateful to have you this morning. We're praying. I know that it may not seem like there are a lot of folks over in America listening to the chatter and the louder voices that are anti-Israel. There are a lot of us, and I mean a lot more than probably is being heard. That support.
I appreciate that. I hear from a lot of friends in the United States, a lot of my Christian friends in the United States, and I hear that. I can feel that. They make their feelings, like you, very well known, and that's greatly appreciated. And we get it. We do get it, and we get that sometimes that they're not the ones who are the loudest voices.
That's right. That's true. That's
but
true.
They're there. And we know that.
And we want you to know that we're standing with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in January, my friend, hopefully. And I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get you back on. We're going to try to get you back on more regularly because your insight is so deep, and I really appreciate that. And I want you to know we are grateful for you. And should something happen, I'll call on you. But I want to thank you for this morning, and we appreciate you. I'm going to give you a final thoughts before we wrap this up. It's been a good interview today. Good stuff to chew on, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Final thoughts, man.
Final thoughts. Oh man, when there's no question to guide me, I could start talking about comic books. Final thoughts are, as I said, I think we just took a wobbly step in the right direction. I feel a very warm type of optimism, like God is helping, like that there is some force in the universe that's somehow, as we stumble forward, we're walking towards better things. I feel very good about that, and I can only hope. I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the New York City election.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that, well, I don't even know what to hope for anymore. I hope that communism does not get a foothold in the United States, or jihadism gets a foothold in the United States. I pray that they don't. I don't know what's going to teach the millions of New Yorkers, or somehow help them see the light. What the kind of threat that they face, the kind of hard times and harder times that they face, if jihadism and communism are tolerated in the heart, in the functioning heart of American free markets, capitalism.
Right. I've got.
I'm praying for New York. I'm praying for New York. I'm praying for the United States.
I am too. Well, I will tell you this. That'd be a great topic next time we get together, talk about New York City. I do want to ask you real quick about that. Do you think, should the nightmare occur, this kid, this jihadist kid, and he's 33 years old. I don't people get that either. This is not some seasoned, and I'm not saying Cuomo is God. Cuomo is nothing but evil. Silwa is, I saw the debate, and he's, I think Silwa would make a great mayor, but he's not going to get elected mayor in New York City. I mean, it's just
it's kind of tough to see that. Yeah, Sliwa is Sliwa. I grew up. Actually, not. I don't know if I think I might be. He might be a couple years older than me. But when I was a teenager and growing up, Sliwa, I very much looked up to Sliwa because he was actually doing things on the ground with the Guardian Angels in New York. He was actually being an amazing American. He has done that for 50 years now. I think Sliwa is a remarkable human being. You're right. He also happens to be a Republican, and that in New York is not very conducive to electability.
Yeah.
I didn't see what I was going to do after this interview is I was going to take a look at the debate between Sliwa, Cuomo, and Mamdani. I have a feeling that they didn't give him a whole lot of time, and that's up to them. I mean, I think that at this point, my last thing that I would say about this, if Cuomo wants a chance to be elected, and I'm not saying he's the best man, not by any means.
I get you.
But if he wants, and if his people are trying to guilt Sliwa supporters into dropping Sliwa, but if he wants a chance at this, if it's important enough to him, he should be talking to Sliwa. He should be addressing the political concerns of Sliwa and Sliwa supporters if he wants Sliwa voters.
That's right. Got 3 weeks, brother. I tell you what, and and we'll talk about this next time, but I do believe there's going to be an exodus of Jewish people from New York City. I think that there's going to be a mass exodus of a lot of people from New York City if this kid gets elected, because it is going to turn into a land that you do not want to be. I don't think you want to be a Christian. You don't want to be a capitalist, and you don't want to be a person of Jewish descent, because he is going to declare war on all three. And that's just my take on it. Mike, thank you.
Never underestimate the Jewish capacity for stupidity.
Well, I think we can say that about some Americans too, my friend. Been a pleasure this morning, and God bless you.
Same here, Chris.
Mike Jaffe.
You too. God bless you.
Be right back. Good stuff tonight. Thank you, Mike Jaffe. That was so good. We appreciate him being with us tonight, and good stuff. That was done a week ago, last Friday. And I said 3 weeks then. We're down to less than a week. And we tried our best last night on our Monday night show to make the plea to you New Yorkers to come to your senses. The polls today actually went backwards a little bit. Cuomo yesterday had pulled within 10 points of this kid. Tonight, the polls are showing he's down 15 with less than a week to go. Week from tonight that we vote. I don't, but you New York Cityans do. Ho! What a mess. We got local elections in Tennessee. I'll be voting for in Tennessee, but we don't have any major things going on there. But we're grateful for Michael Jaffe. Very, very good insight. And Jenny, I'll agree. He's an academic, a very intellectual individual, and I've always enjoyed Mike. We first interviewed him probably back in 2020, maybe. He had written a book called Two Israels, and not the crazy talk about Israel not being the Israel of the Bible, but he was talking about the political landscape, the two parties that were fighting for the soul of the nation. And I reached out to him, and surprisingly, he said, yeah, I'd be glad to come on. And we've been friends ever since. And he's always been a tremendous voice. I've got so much to do, but it's right at 10:41 tonight Eastern. And I'm going to keep you about 15 more minutes, but I want to get your take on what Mike had to say tonight. And if you got a question or a comment or two, we will definitely take those. Jim Bochy says, love you, Captain Chris. God bless America. I feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Darth Vader. I hadn't heard that name in 5 years. Captain Chris. I don't want to go there right now, but hello to you too, sir. Hello to you too. I love everybody. We love you too. Captain Chris loves everybody. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a messed up world we got. We got a communist, Marxist, socialist, jihadi about to be elected mayor in the world's biggest city. I don't know how we got to this place. I just don't know how we got to this place. I'm going to come over here. I will play a few videos. A couple of big stories tonight we will be following. We've got a dear friend of ours from New York. We had her on about 3 or 4 years ago. She was running for office in 2022. And she was running for a local city council race and didn't quite make it. And she's very conservative. And I reached out to her this week because I want her to come on and talk about, I want to get somebody from New York City to talk about the situation there. We may even get our buddy John Matola on the phone Thursday night. But we're going to cover this Thursday night in detail, 8 o'clock Eastern. And Catherine Carolla, she'll be our guest. And then we may get some folks on the phone from up there to talk about Mandami, Moron, the Zoran the Moron. I'm sorry. I heard somebody say that last night, and I said, finally, I can pronounce his name. I can put the Moron and the Zoran together, because I've always been mispronouncing his name. I'm surprised I ain't got a letter from somebody. You need to learn how to pronounce my name, or you need to pronounce his name right. Well, I got his name right now. Zoran the Moron. I'm not going to be laughing a week from tonight when this kid wins this election. Trust me, it's probably going to be, the laugh's going to be on America. But if you got any things you want to chime in about him, you can. But we've got Halloween coming up Friday night, and we're going to do a show either Friday morning or maybe do part 2 of the show Thursday night. We're going to talk about the evil origins of this coming Friday night and look at some things that we need to discuss, because there's great danger in putting your kids in the middle of this thing Friday night. And we do it every year, and we're going to do it this year. I'm not sure what we're going to do Friday night on Halloween, but we'll do something to counteract all this. And but Wednesday night, tomorrow night's a faith night, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Good to see everybody. It is a sad exodus prison from New York City. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but it could be. I believe it will take place. Right now, we've got almost 47 votes, and 89% says Israel is justified to strike Gaza since Hamas broke the ceasefire. 11% say no, so that's nearly 5, maybe 6 people out of there. You 5 or 6 that are out there, and you don't think Israel has a right to strike Gaza since Hamas has broken the ceasefire, tell us why. We'd love to hear your opinion. mcfilesforum @gmail.com, or you can go on our chat and talk to us about that. Any questions tonight? Any statements? You've got anything you want to say? Let's see here. Dennis says, great show tonight. 100% agree with you both. God help us if we ever turn our backs on Israel. Dennis, we're already doing it. Some are in this nation, not all, but you're right. God help this country if we do. Elaine Willard, you make a great point. There's always collateral damage in war. People who think otherwise are foolish, and you're absolutely right, they are. Lori Farrell, good to see you tonight. She says, too bad the Israelis, what did you say here? Put air tags on the criminals. They had to be released. That is a good point, Lori, and that's what Mike was sort of talking about tonight. These criminals that they had to give up. I mean, they gave up thousands. It was an ungodly number of people that they had to give up to get roughly 20 people back alive. But that's why Israel is Israel. They value life. It's worth it to them. They did the same almost percentage to get that one Air Force man back, the hostage that the Palestinians took about 10 years ago. And but unfortunately, what it did, it led to the birth of Anwar Sinwar, the head of Hamas, who perpetrated and planned this attack. And, the thing about Islam is this, and I don't know if people realize this or not, some do. Islam is a kind of religion, the jihadism in Islam is willing to wait things out. They don't care Trump's in office tonight. They know Trump will not be in office in 3 years. They may play nice. They may ultimately play nice, and they may not do anything crazy, and they may not try to do anything to upset the apple cart while Trump's in office, because that's how Islamic jihadists do. But it doesn't mean that they're going to play nice forever. And I think your point is an excellent point. I do wonder if it would have been wise for them to do some kind of tagging to make sure they know where these criminals are. I would think that there's some mechanism in place that they do. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for right now, because I think they've been bitten before, and I think that it's wisdom. I think your point is excellent, and I think it's very wise that they should do that. I wouldn't have no problem with them doing it. But I can tell you all this, folks, and I'll say this again tonight. Our country would have never put up with this mess the way Israel's had to. We just wouldn't, and we wouldn't have handled it any differently. No other nation would have, unless they're just a nation that don't care about its people. In other words, let terrorists run over and destroy your people, destroy your cities, rape your women, cut your babies' heads off, kill men, kill boys, kill girls, do this, take hostages without any kind of impunity. That's a nation that don't care about its people. And most countries have not gone to that level. I would be concerned tonight about England. I would be concerned about France if something like this happened. We could only look to history, and had America not got involved in that war, and we may not have ever got involved in the war in Europe, had the Japanese not attacked us at Pearl Harbor in 1941. But England was getting ready to fall. Churchill was doing everything he could to withstand the forces of Hitler, but France basically let Hitler run right over it and never did stand up to do anything. There was some resistance within the nation, but France rolled over like a toothpick in a hurricane. And some of these European nations are doing it tonight. Islam is overrunning it like a rapid storm. And we can't let that happen. We just can't let that happen here. And it's happening. It's happening from within. It's happening with our leaders. It's happening with these politicians, and it just scares us to death. It should scare us to death. Pagers, Marianne says pagers. I put it like this, Marianne. I was joking around with Tony Branco, and I think it was somebody else, James Akers. I told James Akers, I said, when Israel pulled that pager stunt about a year ago, I said, we could go into business together and make millions with an anti-tracking pager. Pager sales went. I don't think there was any Arabs buying any pagers for about a year or 6 months, and I'm not sure they're buying any tonight. But that's a great suggestion. Perhaps that's what Israel needs to do, is sell pagers. Pretty brilliant stuff, I thought. Pretty brilliant. Any other questions tonight? Carol Smith says, are there qualifications for mayor besides getting their name on the ballot? That's a good point. I don't know. Carol, I would think, I wonder about that. Does he have to be, I'm sure you have to be a citizen of the city. You have to be a citizen, you have to have residence in the city. The age thing, you got to be 35 to run for president, but to run for mayor, evidently you don't, because you got a kid in Minneapolis that he's in his 20s, and he's running for mayor, and he's the same ilk as Mandami. He's full-blown Muslim, and the girl up in Seattle is a young lady. I'm not sure how old she is, but she's pushing socialist, communist tactics and things. As I said last night, folks, what concerns me with Mandami is the ripple effect in other cities to come. If they see that they can take down the biggest city in our nation and they can conquer New York City, what city is safe at this point that's not going to happen again? They will go to every city they can to put leaders in place. And folks, that's how they destroy a country. They're not even shooting a bullet. They're taking us over from within. They're taking over our government. And they're the ones going to be making decisions for the people of New York City. And before you know it, and I go back to what Jason Miller said last night. Jason, he was right on target with this, that if they can take over a city, there is nothing that's going to stop them from trying to next take over a state and then the country. I would not be surprised if we don't have at some point in the future a jihadist Marxist, and maybe Bandami himself. Maybe this is a dress rehearsal for him. Definitely AOC. And to watch the Democrat Party act tonight, they're happy about this. They love it. They are not hiding that they're communist anymore. They tried to, and they got their clock clean trying to hide their communism in 24, and they're saying, well, we got beat anyway. We might as well just go ahead and take off the mask and tell everybody how we really feel, that we hate America, we hate capitalism, we hate Donald Trump, we hate free trade, we hate everything that Trump's doing with the economy. We hate closed borders. We hate the police. We hate the military. We hate Christians. We hate Jews. Just no hiding it. And he's up by 15% in the polls. What does that say about our country tonight? What does that say about our country tonight? Not a lot. Not a lot. Not a lot. Anyway, Prism, you say you think it's the fruit of taking prayer out of our school. My friend, I wish it was that simple. It's not that simple. We took prayer out of the church long before we took prayer out of the school. And we took God out of our pulpits long before God got taken out of our institutions. God has been taken out of everything in this nation. There's a remnant of people that's not true. Prayer in the schools wouldn't stop this. No, this is laid at the fact that the church has lost its salt and we've lost our influence in society. New York City is great, got the largest number of Jews in the entire world other than Jerusalem itself. Other than Israel itself, the greatest population of Jews is New York City. The question has to be asked, how can a Marxist jihadist that hates Jews wind up 15% in the lead with a week to go over every candidate, spewing the anti-Semitism that he has? And again, we don't have time to get into these videos tonight because we're out of time tonight. We will Thursday night. But we got videos of him claiming that Israel had infiltrated the police and that's why they needed to defund the police. He said that just 5 years ago. And he has done nothing. He's never condemned the Hamas attacks of October the 7th. He swears up and down he's never called for a global intifada. There's video after video after video that he supports, that his dad supported it. Elie Wiesel's son, for those of you that don't know Elie Wiesel, he's one of the most famous Holocaust survivors in the world. He has got so many displays at the Holocaust Museum up in Washington, D.C. He's written more books on the Holocaust than probably anybody out there and genocides, and he's the most well-informed. He passed on here a few years back. But his son is carrying on his torch, and his son posted tonight the fact that his daddy, Elie, and Mandami's father knew each other, and they were opposed. They were enemies, not really enemies in the sense of, hating each other, but Mandami sure didn't have no love lost for Elie Wiesel. And he basically denied the Holocaust. He denied the Holocaust even existed. And Elie's son is screaming at the top of his lungs tonight to tell New Yorkers, you don't want to elect this guy. Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. And again, you can't sit here and try to prop up Cuomo and saying, hey, your great salvation is Andrew Cuomo, because that's not a good selling point not to elect Zoran Mandami. I wish Curtis Stilwell had more of gusto, but a Republican in New York is just not a good recipe these days. We'll talk to Catherine about that Thursday night, how we got to this point, because the Republican Party has got to step up, and they've got to do something. Anyway, Jay, you said, Carol, you have to sneak into the primary while no one's paying attention or voting. You know, that's what happened. It was Ari Fleischer tonight that told Jesse on Fox News, and he was absolutely right. The Democrat lost to Mandami. Cuomo was the Democrat in this race, and he got thumped. Mandami wasn't even a registered Democrat. He was jihadist. He was an independent, and he got thumped. And it was by stroke of luck that Mandami didn't get 50% of the vote, and now they got a runoff. This is what this whole election's about in November. And it's just, I don't know how the New York City elections work, but we're going to talk to some New Yorkers about all this week, and we may even have a special show tomorrow. I don't know. I just, it's very troubling to me. All this is very troubling. It does not bode well for the future. I will say this, a couple of other headlines quickly tonight. Comer, the Kentucky senator, all the auto pen executive orders, the pardons have been ruled null and void by the Judiciary Committee. That's going to be an interesting take. We'll talk about that Thursday. President Trump's been in Asia, 5 nations, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Japan, and he's going to South Korea tomorrow. And then the big meeting is Thursday with China's Xi. And he could come back, folks, with some of the most earth-shattering financial deals that we've ever had in this country, and all the left can do is complain about a ballroom. That's all the world seems to be screaming about tonight. And Japan showed our president more respect than they have probably any leader in 50 years. I am so excited for the future of Japan and their prime minister. She's the first female prime minister. And I don't even try to call her name. I always murder the names. I need to get more versed on saying these names right before I come on my own show. I bet you these elites just laugh at us rednecks. Y'all can't even pronounce these names. So I'll go back to school and learn how to pronounce her name. But I will tell you this, she is going to be good for Japan. She showed our president more respect than we even show him here in America, to be frank with you. And it's sad to me that is so that our leader goes to these foreign countries and he's treated better over there than he is in his own nation. We don't deserve him. We don't deserve him. And he's working as hard as he can for this nation, and all he gets is slander and lies and name-calling and Hitler and fascists and racists and misogynists and rapists and all sorts of other names. It just seems that that's in the water these days. People cannot enjoy prosperity. They have to go to name-calling, and they like to slander people. And it is sad, but that is the way the world is right now. It's the way our nation is. God help us. God help us. But that is something that's going on tonight. And then we're going to be following other stories that are going on. We do encourage you to go to our Telegram room. We've got all these stories there. And there's some developing stories tonight that we'll follow. Now, if we need to come on tomorrow in the special news side, we will. We'll just play this by ear. But as of right now, we'll be back on the news side Thursday night, probably around 8. Catherine may go a little earlier. She says earlier the better. We may have a 7 o'clock late show and a late show Thursday night. We'll do whatever we need to do Thursday because we're running late tonight. We've enjoyed you being with us. We hope you've enjoyed being with us. And may the Lord bless you. And please be back with us tomorrow morning for our Bible study on our Faith show. And then tomorrow night, our midweek fellowship is on Wednesday night. And we'll probably have a prayer meeting too right before that. So if you want to come together and pray for our country, please do. because we'll have that separate before the Bible teaching tomorrow night. We'll be back at this Thursday, and we want to thank Michael Jaffe again tonight. Did you enjoy him? If you did, put some fire in that house. Cedric says, totally off topic. Is baseball fixed? All of it's fixed, Cedric. I think we're finding out the NBA. I wouldn't be putting no bets on an NBA game. I wouldn't be putting no bets on any sports event, to be frank with you. I would no more, I don't bet anyway, but I mean, I would no more put money on a sporting event. There's so many million things can happen, but it's growing more evident that some of it is. Football's fixed. We know wrestling is. We know the outcome of these wrestling matches are usually already set in stone. Makes you wonder about the boxing matches. So there's no integrity in sports. And what saddens me, Cedric, about this, I'm a sports fan. I'm not a sports nut. I don't worship sports, but I love football. I like baseball. I like football a little bit better than baseball because football goes by quicker and there's more action in it. But I do like baseball. Basketball, yeah, you know. But what's sad about it is that even the college game right now has turned into nothing but a free agent circus. I don't know if you've noticed, Cedric, since you brought up sports, the number of firings that we've had this year before the season's out of many big-name coaches of some of the biggest schools in America. LSU fired their coach this week. Penn State's fired their coach. There has been rumors that Florida State's about to let go of Norville. There's other big name schools that are just cutting ties with some of the biggest names in college football. And the reason they're doing it is because of this portal and this money that is being funneled by these boosters. And they're figuring that we're going to pay all this money for these players. It's turned into a pro event. And I never wanted the college game to be pro. These are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids playing. But what scares me even more is it's seeping into the high school. And the high school is now trying to get kids to move into the communities so they can come play football for their high schools instead of them doing the right thing, and where you live is where you play football. But high schools and these boosters are secretly telling these kids, if you'll come and move into our community and play for our team, then we'll give you perks and benefits. And see, to me, high school is the last frontier. It's the last pure frontier game, and I've seen high school coaches fired for not winning. How do you fire a high school football coach for not winning football games? You're dealing with high schoolers. And that's where we've gotten to in this nation with sports. And it's a tragic scene to see what money and what TV and what corruption has done to the world of sports. And from a sports fan, it sickens me, it saddens me. We're going to do a show about this. We had Jimmy Holton, my dear classmate here, and Cedric, it is a sad day. It is a sad day. Totally agree. We create, and Deb, you're right, by legalizing betting, it only draws in the criminal element. That's perfectly said, and that's another element of this, the betting and all the money that comes in and out of sports and has done nothing but corrupt the game. And I would no more trust, I wouldn't put a dollar, because you just don't know what money has been rigged on that game for the outcome of it. And I think what's going to happen in the NBA, I don't even think we've even touched the skim of that. I think this is just the beginning, because I don't see these guys going down without taking some folks with them. I'm surprised more names hadn't popped up. LeBron James's name has been popping up already, and it's not even been any statements made by the defendants. So, totally true. And I know sports ain't everybody's thing, but it is to some, and it is to some people in our audience tonight, and it is sad. It's sad what's happened. It really is. Israel is justified, Dennis. Yes, they are. Seems that 10% of the people say they're not, and that's fine. We're going to end the poll there. It's amazing how we never get nobody to tell us why they say no to things. They just vote no. Maybe they just want to vote no. Some people do that, and that's fine. But I would like to hear from you if you've got a comment or a reason why you think Israel's not justified. It'd be good discussion. we're willing to talk to you and listen to you and tell you how we feel too. Because I don't mind going on record tonight to tell you Israel's very justified. And the very fact of what's happened already, there would be no Hamas in existence if I was running that country. Because I would not give, and you know what the United States or anybody else told me to do. It's my country. They've attacked me. They've done this. They've killed 1,200 of my people. 1,200 of my people. Folks, that's like 40,000 U.S. citizens. 40,000 in relation to their population to ours. And you're going to sit here and tell me that we, Israel, are being too harsh on Hamas? Seriously? Wouldn't happen under Prime Minister McDonald's reign. No, there would be no more Hamas terrorists left. There's an old scene in one of my favorite movies, Tombstone, when Wyatt Earp, and I don't know if he actually said this, he probably didn't, but the character Kurt Russell, who's my favorite Wyatt Earp, when he had had enough and they had killed his family, they killed his brother. That part of the story is true. Not Virgil, but Mort was killed by the cowboys of that day. And that's what tipped Wyatt Earp off the scale. And he said, if I see a man wearing a red sash, I kill the man wearing it. I know that sounds harsh tonight. But the way that you confront evil, sadly, folks, is you don't appease it. You remove it. You remove it. And if I was Bibi Netanyahu, I would put Hamas on notice. If we know you're Hamas, I don't care who you are, you're as good as dead. Because you're not going to do this to our people anymore. You cannot have another October 7th come on this part of Israel anymore, ever again. And the only way you get it removed is remove the cancer. And Israel take over the Gaza Strip. And I might as well go ahead and say it tonight, folks. Israel annexing Judea and Samaria and taking over control of the West Bank, it will end the terrorism. Because this time, if they do it, it has to come from outside. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I will tell you what, you get the problem out from within, you find out what the world really believes. And the true colors of these Arab nations will come forth if that happens. And see, I think it's better for Israel to know where the Arab world stands with them than this fake peace and these fake smiles and these fake agreements and these fake accords where they're all playing nice, but deep down in their heart, they want nothing to do with these Palestinians. They want nothing to do to help Israel deal with this problem. They want to see this problem erode Israel from within. Very similar to what the Democrats want to do to our nation tonight, to see our nation rot from within from this same element that has taken over our government. And I better stop before I get to going, and I'll be here another hour. God bless you. God bless your families. Have a good night, everybody. We got a lot we didn't talk about tonight. Our prayers for the people of Jamaica. Good show tonight. Thank you, Michael Jaffe. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and we'll do it again. God bless you. God bless your families. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Take care. Good night. to respond to one statement that was just made by Joan Mertz. She says, I went from captain to prime minister in just a few minutes. How impressive is that, huh? And I'll agree, Joan, that's impressive. Prime Minister Mac, I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. Take care.